Shabbat Shalom, saints, and welcome back to Wakefulness Theology. My name is Messenger Paula, and as I said I would do, I cut off my hair. This is the new look. It's not finished. I didn't exactly take hours to do it. You know, people, if you have anyone with kinky hair, you know it's really funny. We have these curls here, and you know, you just take a minute and you put some gel and pop, you have this curl. But I didn't take time to do all of that. Actually, as you know, I like to cover my head. Mostly it's just out of respect, meaning that I am under the authority of Holy Yahushua when I'm speaking, so I like to represent that some way. But now that I cut my hair, I don't know what hat to wear. This doesn't look right, does it? Maybe I can go with something like this. Now my head's floating in here. Oh my gosh, my head is so small. I don't know that. I could go like with this kind of thing here. It's kind of cute. I don't know guys. Maybe today we're just gonna go like this. That's not too bad. What do you think? It'll do for today, huh? I think what I would like ultimately is like a hoodie. So maybe if I had a prayer cloth and just some kind of like little hoodie, I could just do like that, you know, and do the video and then take off my hoodie. I need to find maybe a little hoodie, but in the meantime, we're gonna go with this hat. Let's keep it moving. Today, the name of the video is How to Get on the Ark, Know Your Name. What's your name? Actually, this hat is kind of cute, huh? I like it. It's not bad at all. We're almost to the end of this process here. The first points here, we've explained that it's a fractal universe. Sound creates matter, and therefore DNA being matter is also affected by sound. We talked about the Schumann resonance and how it is the resonance of the voice of Yah on earth. All praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Father and Yahushua's HaMashiach's holy name. So today we want to really nail down the point. DNA is binary, and so what I want to show you is that there is a natural way, which is the Most High Father's way, and there is the artificial way, which is technology. And we've shown last week why they are doing this technology, besides the fact that they want to replace the human population with robots as a slave force. Because guys, you have to realize we are on a human farm. I don't know how many of you know this. Earth, the Matrix, the world as we know it, it is just a big human farm. You have the French farm, you have the American human farm, you have the Japanese human farm, you have the Chinese human farm, and so on. We are all living on human farms, okay? Our farmers are the caretakers, the carekeepers are the elite, right? The 1%, the cabal, right? The authorities. That's why you have like this kind of nanny state feeling, is because we're not free. We're about as free as some chickens on a farm, some animals, okay? And some of us are eaten, like cannibalistically, some of us are eaten. Some of us are used up for our energy, our spiritual energy, our mental energy, just our natural energy. They suck from us like vampires. All of us are sucked dry from our work that we do in the world, our financial resources, all of the everything that we produce is sucked from us as well. It is a human farm, and once you really understand this and really disconnect completely from the outcome of the fate of the farm, then you're free. As long as you're still holding on to the farm, like, oh, I gotta make sure that the crops, you know, as soon as you're still invested in the outcome of the farm, you're not free. So why did I bring this up? I brought it up because the farm is about to digitalize, okay? And it's gonna be the animals. When I say animals, I'm talking about the human stock on the farm. The human stock on the farm, those people who allow themselves to be digitally tagged will belong to the digital DNA, the new digital DNA. And what I'm going to explain to you is that this new digital DNA is the name of Satan. Do you understand? When it's talking about in that Bible verse, when they're talking about the name of a man, they're talking about the binary, the new DNA, which is the technological system, which is the name of Satan. And I'm also going to show you in this video that we have the name of Yah written inside of us in our DNA, okay? And that's why they want to rewrite it. So right now, I know it probably sounds crazy, especially to someone who has never seen any of my videos and you don't know who I am or what I'm talking about. I'm sure that sounds crazy, but for those of you who have been following along, I will explain everything. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and I probably won't get to we are changed by his stripes today. That's going to be next week, but by the time at the end of this video, everything should be crystal clear for you already, and I'm just going to be wrapping it up for you in the next two videos, but it should be crystal clear because I'm not a scientist. I just went ahead and went to Google, and I just typed in very simply, you know, DNA is binary code or something like that, because this, as you guys know, this information comes from Holy Yahushua through Ruach HaKodesh, sometimes directly from Holy Yahushua. Sometimes he just shows up in a dream, or when I wake up and he just, you know, just say. All of this information comes from the Most High Father. I don't research to find the answer. They tell me, and then I go and get the proof. So that's how I knew to simply type DNA is binary code. DNA as binary code, the DNA triple code also functions as a binary code. So I just wanted to, I have to have some proof on here so you guys know I'm not making it up. DNA is binary code. I'm going to show you these two videos here. The first one is this one, and I've talked about it before in the past, the fact that they are already able to take our DNA and use it as a storage system for computer data. So it's already happened, right? This, I think I talked about this in the 2022 playlist, but this is a short, this is like just a couple of minutes, and he explains really well to refresh your memories. And then I'm going to play a little bit of this video again. It's only like 5 minutes, and he's explaining again how the universe, what they're calling a superstring theory, when you look at that, it's computer code. So what I'm trying to show you guys, see, this is what's hard, because when Holy Yahushua or Ruach HaKodesh gives me the understanding, I just know, I'm just like, oh yeah, I know. And I don't have to explain. But going through this process of explaining is what brings the information from my spirit to my brain. So it's not easy to explain this, but pretty much the whole universe is just a big computer, but it's not a computer like man has made. It is the great and eternal, all-knowing, without beginning and without end creation of the Most High Father that is above all understanding that anyone can ever comprehend. Amen. So man, what he's trying to do is, in his own way, he's trying to understand and replicate a much smaller version of what is the Most High Father, right? The Most High Father is invisible. That's why Holy Yahushua is him in the flesh. Do you see what I mean? He is representing the Most High Father in the flesh, because the Most High Father, the actual Most High Father, is existence and non-existence. I can't even talk about him. We can't talk about him. We can't understand him. Do you see what I mean? He's above human understanding. He is all of this, all of it. Everything that is in the Father. So this man is trying to explain that when you look deep enough into the building blocks of creation, you have computer code. Okay? He's going to explain it a lot better than I just did. So let's just look.
Think about it. DNA is basically nature's hard drive. You are the result of a three-dimensional computer program written in tiny compounds wound up inside the nucleus of all your cells. It's a set of instructions, coded and saved, that our body writes and reads to build proteins, construct cells, and perform thousands of other tasks. Genetic engineering is basically us trying to hack our own hard drives, and we're learning more about the possibilities of accomplishing this every day. But way back in 1964, a Soviet physicist named Mikhail Niemann concocted the idea that we should use the compact, efficient storage system of DNA to store not nature's code, but whatever we wanted. So far, we've been able to decipher parts of nature's DNA programming, a gene here, a few lines of code there. We haven't decoded all of it yet, but scientists do understand now how the storage system works. Meaning, we're real close to putting whatever pictures or files we want into DNA. I know that sounds crazy, and it kind of is, but it's possible. In 2013, scientists proved they could write computer data into synthetic DNA with 0 errors. There's a lot there, so let me unpack it. First, they had to teach the computer to speak DNA. Machine language is binary, zeros and ones, while DNA is A, T, G, and C. I emailed with Bill Peck, CTO of Twist Bioscience, they make synthetic DNA, and he explained how they convert from binary to DNA code. Basically, like anything in tech these days, they use an algorithm. The nice thing is, even though DNA only pairs A with T and G with C, these letters can also be reversed. A and T and A, those are different. This means data is more dense. There's more data in less space. The algorithm does all that translation for them, which is good. Then they had to create a piece of DNA that reflected the computer data. It's the same DNA that you would find in any cell, but they made it in a lab. Peck described it as, quote, similar to stacking 4 colors of Lego bricks into segments. Yes, it really is that simple. To get the data back out of the DNA, scientists sequence it the way they would with any other piece of DNA that showed up in a lab. And the whole reason that they want to do this in the first place is they can put a lot of data into tiny spaces. With a bit of chemistry and a bit of computer engineering, this synthetic DNA can store data for, say, a trip to Mars, or for long-term storage of any kind. Stretched out, the DNA molecule can be 3 meters long, but wound up, it's super tiny. This alone makes it an ideal long-term storage system, but on top of that, hard drives, CDs, and flash drives all have a shelf life. Tape backups, commonly used by major data centers, need special climate-controlled facilities with constant maintenance. Meanwhile, DNA can survive with minimal effort under a rock for a millennia or in your garage. A paper in Science showed a single gram of DNA can store 215 petabytes of data, the equivalent to all the space in 420,000 of the most expensive MacBooks on the market. But Peck believes the upper limit is higher at 1 zettabyte. That's a lot of data. It's 1 trillion gigabytes. All the internet traffic in the whole world in 2016 added up to 1.1 zettabytes. If you filled the iPhone 7 with that data, you would need 8.6 billion iPhones. Stacked together like dominoes, they would go around the planet 1.5 times. This theoretically could fit in 1 gram of DNA. The problem is DNA storage is just too expensive, and it takes too long right now. But while in 2013 they could encode a few hundred kilobytes, now in 2017 we're talking zettabytes. Someday the molecules that make up all life as we know it could be storing backups of cat videos and tweets and snaps that you definitely didn't save, or storing all of vital human knowledge in case of, pick your favorite apocalypse, I guess. Special thanks.
We on the human farm, we're not only food, we're not only batteries, now we are storage containers for data, all right? DNA is binary. Okay guys, so here's the second video I was telling you about. It's only 5 minutes long, but he really explains everything. Just, I'll let him do it.
Images that are behind your head right now. These are pictures of equations. I've been, for the last 15 years, trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that, because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes, just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web.
You're saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers.
That is correct. So,
wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos.
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code, you're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code, it's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. That's what we find very, very deeply inside the equations that occur in string theory and in general in systems that we can say are supersymmetric. Some of those codes are showing on the screen behind you right now. They don't look like codes, but these pictures, which we call adinkras, are graphical representations of sets of equations that are based on codes. That in the description of our universe.
Okay, sorry guys to interrupt, but fractals, anyone? Does anyone see a fractal pattern here?
That are based on codes. That in the description of our universe, that is a supersymmetrical universe, which we were going to test in the LHC. If you believe that description, I can show you the presence of these codes. That's my statement.
Do you have any predictions in your ideas, or any ways to test any of your ideas any more than, say, the guy over on the screen?
The work that I'm doing is, in fact, so theoretical that we don't understand yet whether it is even possible to complete the program. We have found these strange graphs. We know that they are equivalent to equations, and we have found in these equations computer codes. And so that's where we are right now. So I cannot give you a prediction. This work is less than 2 years old.
Towards Dr. Gates, I'm curious about your theory. You say there's computer code in these equations. Now, computer code is generally just instructions for a processor. And I'm curious as to what the instructions you're finding are. And if you're not sure what's to say that it's actually computer code, I mean, theoretically, the number pi has all the data that's ever existed.
Well, we say that
Theoretically, pi has all the information that has ever existed. Boop. Who else in creation and who else in our understanding has all the information that has ever existed? Could it be the Most High Father?
The digits in pi.
Yeah, sure, what's to say that it's actually computer code? I mean, theoretically, the number pi has all the data that's ever existed.
Well, we say that they're computer codes.
The digits in pi.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We say they're computer codes, first of all, because the structure of the equation is such that they dictate that there are certain things that are actually strings of ones and zeros. That's just digital data. But it's not just random ones and zeros. As I mentioned earlier, let me talk about something that you probably do every day, but I don't know if you're a computer scientist or not. Most of us sit at our...
Sounds that kind of fluency.
Okay, well, most of us sit at our computer screens and we type on the keyboards, and we then send these, if we're using a browser, we're sending strings of ones and zeros elsewhere. But on the other hand, in the transmission process, there's always some fluctuations. So a zero that you type here because of static in line might be read as a one at the other end and vice versa. And so in fact, when you sit and type on the keyboard, your computer's doing something behind your back. Namely, it throws in a bunch of extra ones and zeros, and these things are called error correcting codes, so that the computer at the other end can look at the whole collection of what you typed plus what was sent and figure out if there were bits that were being flipped back and forth. And that's how you get accurate transmission of digital data. Among the codes that are used for this purpose are a special class of codes that are called block linear self-dual error correcting codes. They were first, in fact, the Shannon extended checksum code is an example of one of these things. These are the codes that we find buried in the equations. Not just any code, but these self-dual error correcting block codes. It's quite remarkable for anyone that I've talked to. We have no idea what these things are doing there.
Any literature out?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any literature out that...
I can give you technical references that almost nobody in the world can understand.
But I thought you had a popular level article on this?
Thank you. Yes, actually, so this past June, the British journal Physics World asked me to write a popular level description of what we have found. So in the June edition of Physics World, and it's published in London, the cover story is called Symbols of Power. It's about these weird symbols that have been showing behind us. We call these things adinkras. And so for a popular level description, yes, we've written that.
All right, Saints, as you have just seen and understood, DNA is binary code. Not only is it something that they are going to be able to use our DNA is something that they are going to be able to use like a computer. They're going to be able to store data on it, and there will be no problems with connecting man to computers and the digital interface with our brain. I'll show you that at the end of the video, because they are the same, they work the same way. You just change the letters into 0 and 1s, and you know it works the same way. It's binary. And Mr. S. James Gate Jr., the theoretical physicist, he was just bringing home the idea of what we've learned at the beginning of this playlist, that the symbols that we're seeing in the fractal universe are representations of the code that is programming reality, that is contained in pi, that is the physical representation of the name of Yah in the material universe. I'm not a physicist. I'm a son of Yahushua HaMashiach. Or if you want, a daughter of Yahushua HaMashiach. We've already talked about that. It's only talking about spiritually, daughter or son. It's just talking about the material world or the spiritual world. So you can use whatever you want. I prefer son of Yahushua HaMashiach because that's where we're all going. We will become sons, men and women, 2025, that's around that time when we're going to become mature sons of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay? I'm not a physicist, but you don't have to be a physicist when you're a son of Yahushua HaMashiach, because he will give you all the information that you need to know. And these people out here in the world, they can run around and learn all this information and still not get it. And still not get it. Ask Hawkins. Ask Hawkins. He died denying that there's a God. How can you have all this information and still not be able to put 1 + 1 together to know that it equals 2? How? I just don't understand it, man. But anyway, the smartest people in the world, if they don't know Holy Yahushua, they don't know anything at all. Can I get a amen? Whoop, whoop. All right, so let's keep going. And I've seen some comments from people, not directly to me, but just in general, and they're like, why do we have to know this for the end of the world and the end of the age, whatever, you know? Guys, just to remind you, this isn't my information, and this is why that's why I was given the name Messenger Paula, and that's why I've used the name Messenger Paula for this YouTube channel, to constantly remind people and myself, everyone, that this information is not coming from me. I am simply the messenger. I get the messages, I put them together, and then I try to coherently paint the picture for you guys, and through your own dreams, your own messages, your own understanding, your own walks with Holy Yahushua, you can have a clearer understanding of what you're being taught, right? That's what I'm doing here. So this isn't my idea, like I'm saying, oh, we should discuss theoretical physics because, you know, I feel like doing that. No. Not at all. And the only way you're going to understand this information is if you are connected to the Most High Father in Yahushua HaMashiach's holy name. I pray that you all are. Let's continue. So now we're understanding that DNA is binary code. So what I want you to understand now is that binary code represents our name. And we kind of understand that because I have just said a few minutes ago that pi, all the information that is contained, that we know that exists, is contained in pi, right? And we know that that is a representation of the fabric of creation, right? And we know that that is a representation of the Father's name, the Most High Father's name, right? You guys with me? So what I'm showing you now is that that name of the Most High Father is in us. All right, that's where we're going with this. We're connecting dots. 1 + 1 + 1 equals, right? So let's look at this video. This brother here is going to be explaining about how our names look in binary code. And then this brother right here is just going to play DNA as a song, because I want you to understand the song of the 144,000.
What in the world is this? It looks like I fell asleep on my keyboard, and that's what came out. But hopefully you know that this is binary code. This is the actual language that computers and other digital devices speak. These series and ones and zeros are information, and they mean something to digital devices. So, for example, this series of ones and zeros could be what's telling this clock here what time it is and how to express that to you so you can see it. Now, it's not. I'll tell you a little secret. What this series of zeros and ones is actually my son's name, Oliver, repeating over and over. So I'll share in the description of this video a link to a site where you can actually create your own name in binary code. So why are we talking about this here on a video about DNA? Well, binary code is information, and it's how information is passed from a computer to you. Well, it's not much different. This series of ones and zeros is not much different than this. This is a series of A's, C's, G's, and T's. And this code, instead of a binary code with only ones and zeros, if you want to call it a quaternary code, whatever you want to call it, this is information as well. So they both look like gibberish to me, but the binary code is what's allowing you to see everything you're seeing on your computer or your phone right now, and this code is everything that you are. So here's a picture of one of the first pictures of my son Oliver, who you guys see quite a bit on this channel. These A's, C's, G's, and T's are the code that was used to build him. So that's the similarity between the binary code and your DNA. So how I like to think of DNA is as a flash drive full of blueprints. So when they mapped the human genome, they found that we have about 23,500 genes. So I look at it as this flash drive, this digital storage device that's storing thousands and thousands of blueprints. So what is a blueprint? It's a two-dimensional image that has all the information you need to build a three-dimensional structure. So whether that be the protein hemoglobin or structures that go into the brain like you're seeing here, that's why I think that is a very, very apt description of how your DNA operates. So think of it as a flash drive that's full of information. The information is stored in the letters A, C, G, and T, just like the information on a computer is basically stored and transmitted through ones and zeros. And that should give you a little bit of insight into how DNA works and how it is an amazing information storage device.
Okay, guys, so hopefully things are getting a little clearer to you, because the brother, he explained it really clearly and very simply. Our names, you see how they're written in binary code, and it's the same as our DNA that makes us up, right? Our names represent us. And the binary code, the zeros and ones, work exactly the same way as the AGCT DNA. I just want to acknowledge that this message about the binary code came from Sister Polly. So here, Sister Polly, she shared this video that we just played here. You can pause and read if you want, or go to the Facebook group. And here again, she's giving more information about binary code, the message that she got from the Holy Spirit about the binary code. Here, this goes all the way back to February 18th. So again, you can pause and read. But what I'm saying is that we all work together. Everybody has a piece to the puzzle. So we put the pieces of the puzzle together, and this is what we're understanding. Just more confirmation right here. Another message from Sister Polly on Facebook. So now, Sister Polly, I've understood what putting all the pieces together. This is what Ruach HaKodesh has led me to understand the meaning of all these individual messages. So now this has to do with our names. Okay, so let's check out this video right here and try to understand better what all of this is leading up to. How many letters are there in the Hebrew alphabet? There are 22. All right, just checking for people who want to, you know, what does it say on the screen here? DNA utilizes the properties of what? Of sound. We are a piece of work. You know that expression when people say you are a piece of work. Well, you know what? It is. They ain't never lied. It's true. We are magnificent creatures. Humans. We are magnificent. We were made. We were created to be the temples, to be the physical living space, the quarters, the headquarters, the temple of the Most High Father, where He can abide in us and He can live in the physical world through us. He can exist through us. We are magnificent creatures, and anyone who hates humans, that's Antichrist. So if in your heart or in your mind you hate humans, that is Antichrist. Love yourself, love your brothers and sisters, and love the Most High Father with all your heart, mind, and soul. Your existence depends on it. Your survival depends on it. Your ability to live on forever in eternity in heaven depends on it. You need to recognize how wonderful and beautiful we are as true spiritual humans. I think I've proven my point there. DNA is binary. So let's go further. Pi is the representation of the Most High Father's name in creation. Yes. Pi is the basis of the mathematical formula, the computer code, the binary computer code that makes up reality or creation. Yes? Okay. So that means that His name is written in our DNA, because our DNA is the same as what is found in creation. They both are binary. They both work the same way, and they both contain the basic building blocks of creation, which is pi. Let's look at this video right here, and he's going to explain it even better than I just did. This video is only 1 minute, guys.
So when we start looking for the Lord, where do we go? Well, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was a symbol, and the symbol was with God, and the symbol was God. Symbols are very important. We use them to organize, to design, to communicate, to observe our world. Symbols are what elevate us above animals. And I think that in Satan's bag of tricks, just the manipulation of symbols alone is a tool that's capable of controlling mankind. This is a very interesting use of symbols. A friend of mine who worked for the New World Order, very high up in the New World Order, and he was one of their mind-controlled slaves. He had been part of the Illuminati, and one day his photographic memory wrote down this formula. He said that the Tetragrammaton, which is the symbol that stands for God, equaled a formula for DNA. And I'm not saying it does or doesn't. I thought this was a very interesting use of symbols. My friend was to visit me on January 12th. On January 11th, he was murdered.
Okay, Saints, so that's 1/11, January 11th. So in that very short video, he just explained what I was saying. So as I was saying before, Yahuwah, the Most High Father, through his Tetragrammaton, has given us his name. His name is written in our DNA. Right here, DNA. This is some sort of formula that was hidden from us that shows how his name literally is the formula in our DNA. Is this thing on? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me better now? Okay, you can hear me better? Okay. Yah has given us his name. His name is written in our DNA. Now, for those who, I don't know, need more proof or understanding, let's go to Scripture. Yah has given us his name in our DNA. Right here, Isaiah 43:7. Everyone who is called by my name, whom I have created for my glory, I have formed him. Yes, I have made him. Now with all this information we have, that should be very clear to you. That is a literal sentence. That is not poetic. That is not symbolic. That is not that. It ain't, honestly, it's not even coded. It's straightforward language, as clear as day. It's straightforward. Everyone who is called by his name, everyone who has Holy Yahuwah's DNA inside of them, meaning we should know by now that there aren't only human beings on this earth. There are demonic forces, there's the army of Satan, and those people are a different race. They are a different race. We do not have the same DNA structure. We do not have the same bloodline. It is not the same. So everyone who is called by his name, that meaning his DNA, has his name inside of us because the DNA is his name. And the reason he has created us is for his glory. And when he's talking about created us, he means literally created us through his name. Do you understand? The building blocks of creation is his name. It is him. He has formed us. That's not poetic. It's literal. Isaiah 43, fear not, I have redeemed you. I have called you again. I have called you by my name. You are mine. Fear not, I am with you. I have called you by my name. So now we have understanding about this, better understanding. Yahuwah has given us his name in our DNA, and he calls us by our names, which are actually his name, which is actually his name that he's given us, right? What I want to say is that when you talk to Holy Yahushua, it's possible that he might give you another name. He might give you another name, like a literal name, like Saul. Your name was Paul, but now it's Saul. I mean, you know, that could literally happen. But what I'm saying is it's not only that, it's also the holy letters that we are seeing. So for example, my name, for me, I understand that 237 is my name. 237 723, because in America my birthday is July 23rd, and in Europe they put the day before the month, so that's 237. So since I've been living here in Europe and since I've been born again, my number has become 237. But before I was born again, it was 723. So I'm not quite clear if that means both of them are my names or just 237 is my name. I don't know, but they both are very significant to me. But I do clearly understand that if I see or am given or called, if you say 237, it's the same as saying my name. Do you see what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why they demonize that number so much, is because, like I've said before, they always want to make you afraid of anything that's going to bring you closer to the Most High Father. They change places. They put the good guy as the bad guy and the bad guy as the good guy, and etc. But so that's why I'm saying I understand when I see 237 that is talking to me. And all of us that are following these holy letters, all of us who are seeing these holy letters, that is Yah calling to you. Do you understand? Do you see how this is a clear explanation of why this is the way, why this is happening, how this is happening, and what especially what it is that is happening? And I have more, we have more information, but I can't give you everything in one video. But I mean, you have to take it one piece at a time, because there's no way for you to understand everything like instantly. You would just not be able to take it. So please, if you haven't been watching these videos, go back and catch up so you can be on the same page with us and understand the depth of this information, okay? So what I'm saying is, yes, when I see 237, that I know that is another form of my name. So maybe Sister Polly had a message, and she was telling us, I showed you earlier, and she was telling us to look into our names. I don't really know how that works. That was Sister Polly's message, but it seems to be congealing with all the information we have here right now before us. So do some research on it. Take your birthday and see what happens, what goes on with that. I don't know. That's what happened for me. Okay, so we've understood all of this part. DNA is binary. So let's understand now how we're going to go from this to this. Earlier, I showed you a video about the song. And you know that in Revelation 14, you have the 144,000 that comes back, and they're singing a song that no one else can sing, no one else can know. What I'm understanding here in all these messages that we're getting is that when you live a righteous life, when you hear Holy Yahushua's voice and you follow his commands, when you become an egg, when he calls you and you are activated, you are born again. I mean, I'm talking about two different processes. When you're born again on earth, you know, then you change physically. But when Holy Yahushua calls us, like when he calls us with a shout, that's going to be a whole nother chain reaction of transmutation or whatever the wording is, where we're just going to be like, whoosh, in the blink of an eye, we're going to be transformed. Do you see what I mean? That's on a whole nother level. Okay, so when that happens, we're going to become the pure DNA wise or whatever chemical process that's going to happen with our bodies, our DNA is going to be able to be activated, and we're just going to become this song, man, this pure, uncorrupted mega data file of energy, sons of Yah, and we're just going to be like, you know. And at that time, yes, we will be able to sing that song or know that song or be that song, that uncorrupted version of the Most High Father on earth, what he intended his will. Do you understand what we're talking about here? It's not just here's a song. When they're talking about that in the scripture, they're not like, here's a song, a one, a two, a doom, boom, boom, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about this symphony of Yah being alive and living in us and being realized and transformed and actualized and just being like, Lord, you know, like I showed you so on the video. So there you go with that. And so right here, what I want to show you is the opposite. Okay, the opposite of that glory, honor, glory, and just majesty. The opposite of that is what's on your screen right now. And this is why it will all end. So we did the timeline for Matthew 24. And when in the timeline, I showed you the last page, it adds up that 2040 is the end of the harvest. Now, that was a message that I had understood earlier from Holy Yahushua. And then when we did the timeline, it was proven. It was like, this is correct, because look, it lines up exactly. 2040 is the time where he could, if he wants to, he could come back at that time or not, right? But everything will have been established and done at 2040. At 2040 in Matthew 24, everything that he says has to happen before he comes back, all of those things will have happened by 2040. So from the 2040 point, anytime after that, if he wants to come back, he can, because it has been fulfilled what he said would happen. Does that make sense? Okay, now the whole Bible verse, Matthew 24, that we put the timeline on there, it goes all the way down to like 2060. I don't know, and I'm in my memory right now, but I'll put it on the screen. 2060 something. So we were saying, you know, that it looks like any time in those 20-year periods he can come back, or he can come back after. I mean, I'm not trying to say when Holy Yahushua is going to come back from Armageddon. What I'm saying is that from 2040 it will be done, and the end of that timeline is 2060. So theoretically it could be any time in between there, but most likely it would be at the end of that Bible chapter, right? Logically. But he can do what he wants. He's Holy Yahushua. He can do what he wants. King of kings, Lord of lords, King of the eternal realms. You know, he can do what he wants. Logically, if we think about it, if we line up everything we've understood with reality, what's actually happening in the world, this timeline that I've been talking about since I started the ministry lines up perfectly with the timeline of the technology and the transhumanist agenda. It lines up perfectly. Perfect. What? So by their own admissions, by their own standards, they have a few important deadlines. One is 2025, which I said that's when we become sons of Yah. That's when the body of Christ will be back manifested on earth. And that is when they expect to have, you know, the electric cars. They expect to have the 5G, maybe even 6G by that point. I don't know, but especially the 5G. They have all these goals that they want to accomplish by 2025. 2030, oh my gosh, that spiritually, that is the time where we have already had the Antichrist in 2022-ish. We've already been through, we're doing the harvest. We already have the first wave ending their ministry and the third wave starting their ministry. Like, it's a huge date for spiritually. It's also a huge date for them with technology. They plan to have all of this established by 2030. So we're talking about even the money paying with the computer chip that's in your body. I think that's 2025 too. I'm not sure. But if it's not, it's definitely 2030. I'll see if I can put something on the screen to help you guys understand what I'm saying. So again, 2030 is a major deadline for what they're trying to do in the agenda. And then from the timeline, we understand that anytime from 2030 to like 2033, that whole window of time, Holy Yahushua, we can have the escape anytime in that period. Of course, it could be before, it could be after. Yahushua is free. He can do what he wants to do. He's the King of kings, Lord of lords. I'm just telling you what I read from the information I have, and it points to that time period, okay? So after that time period, from the Bible timelines that we've seen, after that time period is when they really go full throttle into their technological system, the beast system, okay? And that is also what is written as the great and terrible tribulation in the Bible. So from that time, after 2040 is what I'm trying to get to, is when they expect the majority of human beings will be cyborgs, okay? And they explain that we are already cyborgs because we have the iPhone. So the iPhone is an extension of us, and so therefore we are technically already cyborgs. He explains this really well in this video. But by 2040, they're all, you know, I don't want to say all humans, but the ones who do not have some kind of technological upgrade will not be able to participate in society. They would probably be homeless or killed or I don't know. It's like one of these dystopian horror movies that we see about the future all the time. Pick one. Any of them will do. So what I'm trying to say is that in the Bible, he's talking about, if he didn't come back, if Yahushua didn't come back, no flesh would survive. So what I'm trying to show you here is that line, no flesh would survive. It's not only because of, the nuclear war or something like that. It's also because these people are not going to be human anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? These people, you lose your humanity. This is, I cannot express this any clearer to people that are looking at this video. You have two names. You have the one that is naturally programmed inside of you as a human being that becomes your new name when you are born again, okay? And when Holy Yahushua calls you, okay? And which means you're activated. And you have Satan's name, which works the same way, except it's written in this artificial technology, okay? It's the same. He is copying. He's a copycat. He steals, he kills, and he destroys. So he's trying to copy everything and turn it upside down. Taking on this technology is taking on Satan's name. As we talked about at the beginning of this video, through that Bible verse, when we're talking about the 666, it's not necessarily a literal 666. I'm sure that that is represented in many ways. The number 666 relates to the carbon atom of man. So you have 6 proteins, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons, which equals to 666, and carbon is 12. All right, so what I want to show, what I'm saying is that that specific number 666, it's like everything we're talking about, everything is represented on every level. So everything that is in heaven, they have taken and they've tried to recreate it here on earth. And of course, in heaven, it's perfect. Here, it's flawed. It's, in error, but they try. We have all kinds of levels. You have the spiritual, you have the physical, you have the mental, you have, all these different levels. Everything we're talking about is represented on all these different levels in different ways. Do you see what I mean? Like what we've talked earlier at the beginning of this playlist, you can take a number, you can represent it in a symbol, you can represent it in music, you can represent it in colors. It's all different representations, but it's the same thing. So what I'm saying about with 666, it's the same thing. You can represent it in all different kind of ways that you want to, but at the end of the day, it in total represents the name of Satan, which is programmed inside the technology that is being made to keep us from being taking on the name of the Most High Father that is naturally inside us. He is trying to corrupt us. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Ruach HaKodesh just gave me the word. It is a corruption of our programming. Whew. I feel so good I got that out. Wow. All right. So that's the question every man, woman, and child on earth is going to have to answer. Are you going to take on your new name from the Most High Father, or are you going to accept the name of Satan, which is the mark of the beast, which is embedded, which is this new technology that is coming, the artificial digital DNA of Satan, which we know as what's coming in this technology. So now to just prove what I just told you, here is from the man himself, Elon Musk. If you guys don't know Elon Musk, you need to do some research. You need to know who this man is, okay? So right out of his mouth, it's 14 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to play the whole 14 minutes, but if not, the video, you can find it yourself, but it's on the playlist where how to get on the ARK.
It'll be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit. I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years.
This seems like a scene in a movie where
listened.
The robots take over and you're freaking me out. Nobody listened.
Nobody listened.
No one. And you feel like this is decades away or years away from being too late? If you have this fatalistic attitude and you feel like it's going, we're in almost like a doomsday countdown.
It's not necessarily a doomsday countdown. It's a
out of control countdown.
Out of control, yeah. People call it the singularity, and that's probably a good way to think about it. It's a singularity. It's hard to predict, like a black hole. What happens past the event horizon?
Right. So once it's implemented, it's very different because it will
once
be able to.
Once the genie's out of the bottle, what's going to happen?
And it will be able to improve itself.
Yes.
That's where it gets spooky, right? The idea that it can do thousands of years of innovation very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then we'll be just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Do you think that it's likely that we will merge somehow or another with this sort of technology and it'll augment what we are now? Or do you think it will replace us?
Well, that's the scenario. The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best. Like
for us.
Yes. Like if you can't beat it, join it. That's
yeah.
You know. So from a long-term existential standpoint, that's like the purpose of Neuralink, is to create a high bandwidth interface to the brain such that we can be symbiotic with AI. Because we have a bandwidth problem. You just can't communicate through your fingers. It's too slow.
And where's Neuralink at right now?
I think we'll have something interesting to announce in a few months. That's at least an order of magnitude better than anything else. I think better than probably anyone thinks is possible.
How much can you talk about that right now?
I don't want to jump the gun on that.
But what's like the ultimate, what's the idea behind it? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with it? Like, what would you like, best case scenario?
I think best case scenario, we effectively merge with AI, where AI serves as a tertiary cognition layer, where we've got the limbic system, kind of the primitive brain essentially. You've got the cortex. So you're currently in a symbiotic relationship. Your cortex and limbic system are in a symbiotic relationship. And generally people like their cortex and they like their limbic system. I haven't met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete their cortex. Everybody seems to like both. And the cortex is mostly in service to the limbic system. People may think that the thinking part of themselves is in charge, but it's mostly their limbic system that's in charge. And the cortex is trying to make the limbic system happy. That's what most of that computing power is oriented towards. How can I make the limbic system happy? That's what it's trying to do. Now, if we can have a third layer, which is the AI extension of yourself, that is also symbiotic. And there's enough bandwidth between the cortex and the AI extension of yourself such that the AI doesn't de facto separate, then that could be a good outcome. That could be quite a positive outcome for the future.
So instead of replacing us, it will radically change our capabilities.
Yes, it will enable anyone who wants to have superhuman cognition. Anyone who wants. This is not a matter of earning power, because your earning power would be vastly greater after you do it. So it's just like anyone who wants can just do it, in theory. That's the theory. And if that's the case, then, and let's say billions of people do it, then the outcome for humanity will be the sum of human will. The sum of billions of people's desire for the future. And
but
that
billions of people with enhanced cognitive ability, radically enhanced.
Yes.
And which would be, how much different than people today? Like if you had to explain it to a person who didn't really understand what you were saying, like how much different are you talking about? When you say radically improved, like what do you mean? You mean mind reading?
It would be difficult to really appreciate the difference. It's kind of like, how much smarter are you with a phone or computer than without? You're vastly smarter, actually. You can answer any question. If you're connected to the internet, you can answer any question pretty much instantly, any calculation. Your phone's memory is essentially perfect. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures, everything perfectly. Your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. Most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, or the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself that is your phone and computer is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river, a huge, high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem, data rate problem. If you solve the data rate problem, then I think we can hang on to human-machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
Versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit.
This is just inevitable. Again, going back to when you decided to have this fatalistic viewpoint. So you tried to warn people. You talked about this pretty extensively. I've read several interviews where you talked about this, and then you just sort of said, "Okay, it just is. Let's just." And you, in a way, by communicating the potential fear. I mean, for sure, you're getting the warning out to some people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really going on the warning quite a lot. I was warning everyone I could. You ever met with Obama, and just for one reason, like,
just to talk about AI.
Yes.
And what did he say? He said, "What about Hillary? Worry about her first." Shh, everybody be quiet.
No, he listened. He certainly listened. I met with Congress. I was at a meeting of all 50 governors and talked about just AI danger. And I talked to everyone I could. No one seemed to realize where this was going. It will be, at some point, indistinguishable from reality.
Where we'll lose this. We'll lose this. Like, you and I are just looking at each other through our eyes. I see you, you see me. I hope.
You think so?
I think you probably have regular eyes.
This could be some simulation.
It could. Do you entertain that?
Well, the argument for the simulation, I think, is quite strong. Because if you assume any improvement at all over time, if you assume any rate of improvement at all, then games will be indistinguishable from reality. Or civilization will end. One of those two things will occur. Therefore, we are most likely in a simulation.
So that is the end of the video. How to get on the ARK, know your name. Doo, 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 doo. Love you very, 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 very much, brothers and sisters. I pray that this video made sense. I just want to once again give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Father. We are all learning this information, and we are working together to understand what He is trying to teach us and show us at this time. And we give all of the glory and honor to Him. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters, everyone who is participating in putting this information together for the betterment and the advancement of the body of Christ on earth. Peace, love, and blessings to you all. Have a wonderful, beautiful Sabbath, and I will see you next week. Shalom, saints. Mwah.